Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our Mayor, the councillors, council staff and all members of the public joining us online and in person. Tonight we'll be live streaming this meeting on Facebook, YouTube and the Banyule Council website. We kindly ask everyone to please ensure your mobile phones are switched off or muted to avoid any interruptions during the meeting. We'll be going live shortly. Thank you. We're live.
Hello everybody. Welcome to the 10th of March 2026 Community Feedback Forum. On behalf of my councillor colleagues, we are very excited and pleased to be here this evening, and I'm now going to open this forum at 7 p.m. Before I hand over to Council's Chief Executive Officer, Ms Alison Beckwith, who will read out some of the more formalities for the evening's forum and share some background and context, including next steps and process after the forum, I will read our acknowledgement. Our meeting is being held on the traditional land of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and on behalf of Banyule City Council, I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional custodians. I would also like to pay my respects to the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders who may be joining us here today. Our community is made up of diverse cultures, beliefs, abilities, bodies, sexualities, ages and genders. We are committed to access, equity, participation and rights for everyone, principles which empower, foster harmony and increase the well-being of an inclusive community. So I'm now going to hand over to Alison.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome all. My name is Alison Beckwith and I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at Banyule City Council. It's great to see many of our community members here tonight joining us and those listening at home via the live stream. It is important to note that tonight's forum is not a formal council meeting. No formal agenda has been prepared and no officer recommendations or reports. Council debate or council decisions will be made tonight. This community forum is provided as an opportunity for those who submitted feedback on the proposed draft documents to inform the 2026-27 budget process, to allow them to speak to their submissions prior to Council formally considering all feedback received at its ordinary meeting on the 25th of May 2026. The documents that had been provided for feedback are the Draft Capital Works Program 26-27, the Draft Initiatives Program 26-27 and the proposed changes to the Revenue and Rating Plan. Whilst there is no longer a legislative requirement for councils to hear submissions, providing an open forum, allowing community members to expand on their feedback and giving councillors an opportunity to ask questions to better understand community sentiment remains a very important consideration of this council group. I will now outline the process council has undertaken to date regarding these documents and explain the purpose of this community feedback forum. Council conducts community engagement of key planning and financial documents as part of the preparation of its annual budget and revenue and rating plan. Feedback was open on Banyule's online engagement platform, known as Shaping Banyule, from the 18th of December 2025 until the 8th of February 2026. There were 1,050 visits to the Shaping Banyule page, and from that, 593 visitors during the engagement period, a strong indicator of increased awareness of the project and Council's work. An online information session was held on Thursday the 18th of December for the community, and 2 pop-up conversations also took place, one here on the Greensborough Walk and one at the Ivanhoe Library. During this time, 71 document categories were selected by 65 people. Of those people, 43 selected the option to speak at the community forum. being held tonight on Tuesday the 10th of March. Tonight, I believe in total we have 37 people listed to speak. Noting that there is a chance that maybe there are some last-minute changes due to personal circumstances for some. Following the hearing of the feedback tonight, council officers will assess all feedback and provide recommendations to council. Formal consideration of the community feedback to the draft plan and budgets with officer recommendations will occur at the council meeting on the 25th of May 2026. Consideration for the adoption of all integrated planning and budget documents is scheduled for the 22nd of June 2026 at Council's ordinary meeting held on that date. For those in attendance tonight, I'd like to highlight once again that this is a forum, and whilst it is being held in person, it is also being live streamed via Council's website and Facebook pages. The live stream will be available on Council's website and YouTube page following tonight's meeting. The live stream is not interactive, so for those at home, any comments or private messages while the stream is live will not be presented to the council group or be heard as part of tonight's hearing. Rules for participation include each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak and a timer will be used. Here to my left. A warning sound will sound at the 2.5 minute mark, just to let you know that you've got about 30 seconds left, and we ask that you start summing up at that point. I just remind you all that no statement may be derogatory, defamatory or directed to an individual councillor, member of staff, ratepayer or member of the public. And a reminder that everyone is entitled to freedom of speech and personal views as long as they relate to the code of behaviours of our meeting. Questions from speakers are not permitted to the council group. However, the councillors may wish to ask any of you a clarifying question on your feedback tonight. Questions asked as part of the feedback or submission will be answered by the appropriate officer and supplied to the submitter after the 25th of May. Just letting you know, we've got some Auslan interpreters here tonight to assist with a couple of people that are making submissions tonight, and they can proceed with the whole meeting if requested. So just let us know if you would like that service to continue. When council has determined all of its feedback, it will be then successfully included into the planning documents, including the overall budget. I will now introduce you to the councillors in attendance tonight. So to my left, I have Councillor Peter Castaldo, Councillor Alicia Curry, Councillor Matt Wood and Councillor Mary O'Kane. To my right, I have the Mayor, Councillor Alison Champion, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Rick Garotti, Councillor Elizabeth Neely and Councillor Alida McKern. Noting at this point we don't have a formal apology from Councillor Di Pasquale, but he may proceed to join us at any time soon. The councillors are also joined by the executive team. So over to my left, I have Joseph Tobacco, Director of Community Wellbeing, and Natasha Swan, Director of City Development. And over to my right, Darren Bennett, Director of Assets and City Services, and Mark Gilio, Director of Corporate Services. Also here tonight, members of Council's Governance and Integrity, IT and Integrated Planning teams. And I thank the staff here tonight for their support as well. So before we commence, I'd like to thank you for participating in this forum. We value the time that you've taken to prepare your submissions and to be with us here tonight to explain that further. And for those tuning at home, we thank you. And I'll just ask if anyone does have their mobile phones on, if we can just check that they can be put to silent mode. That will help with any disruptions for tonight's meeting. Thank you, Mayor. Back over to you.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Alison. Okay. Do we have any apologies for this evening? Another way of saying put your hand up if you're not here. So we do have an informal apology from Councillor Mark Di Pasquale. He may show up a bit later, we're not sure. Okay. Before we hear from our submitters this evening, our community this evening, it is important for councillors to keep in mind obligations under the Local Government Act 2020 regarding conflict of interest provisions that we must adhere to. This isn't a decision-making forum. General councillors are still required to declare interests they may have, whether general or material, a general or material conflict of interest in any meeting organised by council, resourced by council or arranged by council support. And this applies to briefings, public consultations and forums such as this. So, councillors, if you believe you have a material or a general conflict of interest that exists regarding any of the speakers and their submissions, please declare these interests now. Please leave the forum prior to the submitter speaking on the item, and then you will be invited back to the forum once the submission closes. It's the same request for staff who are present this evening to declare any interest now or throughout the forum should one arise. So does anyone have a conflict of interest here, staff and councillors? Okay, we have no conflicts of interest. So for our speakers, as the CEO mentioned, we have 37 people who are registered their interest to speak tonight. I will call out individual speakers in the order that I have been given, and I will ask you to approach the lectern. After each person presents, I will ask if any councillor has any questions at all. Okay, when you complete your 3 minutes, please wait at the lectern until we determine any questions or not. If you have registered to speak, only you will be heard this evening. Right, so you did need to register for tonight. If I call out a person's name and they are not present, I'll make a note. They may arrive later. They go to the end of the queue and I will invite them to speak when we get to the end of the list. Okay, so I'm going to begin. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy. So we're going to start with Terry, I'm going to guess Terry Piper or Pieper? Piper? No. What's the correct pronunciation? Pieper. Fantastic. Thank you, Terry. Away you go. You've got 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you for a work that you've all efforts on here to talk about that's inclusion. Taking to a building, we support and employ over 350 people with disability across 10 locations in Victoria. Here in Belfield, we employ over 30 people with disability. That's local people with disabilities. The work that our guys do is quite unique. We service things like the Melbourne Airport, where we do grounds maintenance. It's a 500-hectare property. It's the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. That's out of Belfield. We service over 50 schools. We do fleet vehicle cleaning for 26 police stations on site around Victoria, around northern and eastern of metropolitan area. We also do that 5-kilometre stretch of weeding along the Parkdale station, where we start at one end, weeding, and get to the end. The work that we do is providing people with disability a reason for being. We give our guys employment where we give them financial security, we give them greater independence and inclusion. One of the reasons that I'm here to talk about is the Council's Capital Works program and how we as an organisation, a social enterprise, can actually be a part of the discretionary spending, not the e-procure or vendor panel, but the discretionary spending that Council have. Your procurement people choose who they want to be on any given quote. If it's a $10,000 quote, it's one person. If it's up to $100,000, it's two. If it's three, it's more. We just want a fair chance to be on that panel, to have a fair commercial opportunity for us to be able to provide services and help provide more employment for people with disability in the Banyule City Council area. You've got 37% of your households have someone with disability involved in it. So it's a significant impact in this area and right across Australia. All we're looking for, not handouts, but the opportunity to quote fairly as a commercial operation in your social procurement, in your procurement. And I wonder what appetite the Council does have within the social procurement framework and adding in social impact and sustainability as a part of your measures within your buying purchases. So thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Terry. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? No, you're welcome to take a seat. Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you.
Our second speaker, Ibrahim Hassan. Thanks,
Good evening.
Ibrahim.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. Over the past 3 years, Australian Somali Council of Victoria has played a crucial role in supporting Banyu Somali community. Our groundwork is trust, culture, safety, and practical support. Impact. Through our community engagement, SACOF has supported thousands of individual families, young people facing complex and intersection challenges. We have delivered over 5,000 referrals across housing, legal support, immigration, settling, employment, and youth service, and more than 2,600 support referral to mainstream specialist service in the most recent reporting period alone. These are none other intersection. They represent early intervention, advocate support for the people. Negative systems are often difficult to access through language and cultural and system barrier. Cornerstone works in virtual community engagement young people between the age of 12 to 25. Access culturally safe support, leadership, opportunity, and pathway into education, employment, well-being service over the past 3 years. SACOF has delivered leadership program, mentor, and mental health workshop, sport and program, one-on-one advocate. The programs have these support young people individually in the youth justice matter, education, disengagement, mental health challenges, and employment barrier. Our youth approach has translated into real leadership outcome. Young people have stepped into roles as mentor, volunteers, referees, event organizers, including large community events such as the Somali Week tournament which we run every year in December. That we have teams that come from all over Australia, and we get teams that come from international. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Does any councillor have a question? No, you're welcome to take a seat, Ibrahim. Thank you. Our next speaker, Adam Mullins. Would you come to the lectern, please? Adam, okay. All right. Following Abdirizak Mohammed. Hello, Abdi. How are you? Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor and Deputy Mayor and the councillors, CEO and all directors for administration, all of you saying good evening. Before I start my speech, I just want to congratulate you and show you the appreciation that the council and the councils and also the police, Victoria Police, how they're involving to eliminate the threat of the gangs in West Arabic, and we appreciate that. My name, as you know, it is Abdirizak Mohammed, Honorable President of Somali Voice Victoria Incorporated. Thank you for the opportunity to present our budget 26-27 budget submission. Somali Voice operates a small but a very important community social club in Arabic West. The club provides a welcome place where community members can meet, connect, and support one to another. Each week we host a range of inclusive social well-being activities, including women's physical exercise programs that run twice a week. These activities are particularly valuable for people who may otherwise experience social isolation, especially older members of the community. The funding we are requesting in a budget 26-27 financial year is modest, and it is primary to cover essential operational costs, including the rent, basic outgoings such as utility and insurance. This support allows the social club to remain open and accessible to Banjul residents. Our programs are largely volunteer-led, which means that the council funding goes directly towards sustaining a safe and welcome space for the community connection. The outcomes are simple but meaningful. Great social inclusion, improved well-being, and stronger community connections. We believe this small investment delivers significant value for the community, and it aligns closely to the Banjul City Council's priority around the community well-being and inclusion. On behalf of the Somali Voice Victoria and the members of our social club, I thank Council for considering our request and for your continuation support of the community initiatives in Banjul. Thank you.
Lovely, perfect timing. Thank you very much, Abdi. Does any councillor have a question? No, you're welcome to take a seat, Abdi.
Thank you very
for
much.
joining us.
Have a nice day.
Our next speaker is Michelle Allen. Hey, Michelle, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to provide further information regarding the budget submission for Diamond Valley Food Share. Food Share is a volunteer-run, not-for-profit organisation. We collect and share good quality food that would otherwise go to waste and make sure it reaches the people who need it most. Our mission is to bring the community together to fight food insecurity with kindness, dignity and respect. Food Share has supported the community of Banjul since 1992. Since our inception, our community and food insecurity has increased significantly. In the 12 months from December 2023 to December 2024, our client numbers grew by 16%. From December 24 to December 25, our client numbers grew by 38%. In 2025, Food Share provided food parcels to 3,268 clients, feeding a total of 7,258 people. We rescued and shared more than 15 tonnes of food with our community. Our client numbers are growing due to increasing cost of living pressures, more advocacy and awareness of our service, and the transfer of an estimated 100 clients from CareNet following a reduction in CareNet's funding. We intend to extend our operating hours to include one Saturday a month to support the growing number of clients, particularly those who are unable to attend during the week. Food Share's operating expenses increased by 17% in the 9 months to December 25. In this time, we extended our operating hours to 5 days a week, along with recruiting and training 25 new volunteers. Part of the volunteer work we do at Food Share is to collect safe, edible food that would otherwise be thrown away and then redistribute it to people in need. This reduces food waste, helps fight food insecurity and lowers environmental impacts from landfill. The logistics of increasing food purchases, rescue, sorting, storage and distribution has added to our increasing costs. Our volunteer base has grown from 40 to 65 in the past 9 months. We are recruiting and training a compassionate and forward-thinking team of volunteers who will help Food Share grow and provide a dignified, respectful service to our growing number of clients. Ongoing training to ensure awareness of client needs and expectations is a priority. We are seeking reoccurring funding from the Banjul Council for the next 4 years to support our increasing operational costs. With your help, our work will continue to connect people, businesses and other organisations across our community. We are grateful for the consideration and support of the Banjul Council and look forward to continuing our essential work in the Banjul community. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michelle. Does any councillor wish to ask a question? No? Okay. Thanks very much, Michelle. All right. Our next, we have Jasdeep Singh.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Jasdeep.
My name is Jasdeep Singh and I'm the coordinator of Rosanna Fire Station Community House. Thank you for giving the opportunity to speak today. Rosanna Fire Station Community House is a place-based community-led organization supporting the health and well-being of residents across Penwell. Every week, we see older residents, culturally diverse families, people living alone, and community members experiencing social isolation, financial stress, and mental health challenges. Cost of living pressures has increased demand for low-cost, local preventative supports. Many residents need accessible ways to connect, stay active, and maintain their mental health close to home. We get around 300 people per week who use our services. Our work directly contributes to council health, well-being, and inclusion theme. We focus on early intervention, helping people stay connected and well by offering social connection, fitness, and disability programs. To sustain and grow this impact, we are seeking increased funding to support a variety of areas, including staffing, coordination, and facilitation of programs. At present, some programs cannot run when numbers are low because there is not enough income to pay tutors. Additional funds would allow us to continue running these vital social and well-being programs even with small groups, ensuring that the most isolated residents are not turned away. Secondly, program resources and materials, for example, to provide handouts, activity materials, and simple take-home resources that reinforce learning and well-being. Community outreach, targeted engagement with vulnerable and isolated residents who are unlikely to seek help on their own. Operational costs, such as ensuring programs are delivered in a safe, welcoming, and accessible environment. This is a most modest outlay that delivers strong value for council. Rosanna Community House leverages volunteers, partnerships, and deep local knowledge to maximize outcomes. Every dollar of council's funding is stretched through community contributions and in-kind support, and it flows directly into programs that residents use and value. This is not just funding for programs, it's an investment in early intervention, prevention, and local capacity. By supporting the community house, council helps prevent small problems from becoming crisis and expensive services.
Thanks very much, Jasdeep. Thank you. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Okay, no, you're welcome to take a seat, Jasdeep. Thank you very much for coming in. Will Charlton.
Good evening. Thank you, councillors and the officers, for your work in our community. I am a local resident offering practical framework for the better budgeting decisions and with the experience of life in business and even in local government. Local government works best when we start with priorities. When we align income, spending and capital management with those priorities, you become much more efficient. Those priorities, I suggest, should be set in consultation with community input. For example, ensure personal and public safety, maintain essential services delivery and advocacy where it's not your role to provide domestic housing, whatever. It's the state government, federal government. Don't duplicate. You need to support the social connections and accessible gathering spaces. Then I think the next priority you need to do is to fill your liability, your legal liability and your statutory liabilities. When you swore your oath to council, you said you would do something. We're here to govern, not to pander. There is then the preserve and to maintain the infrastructure and the assets. So important if you let that go. And then finally, you consider the new initiatives after these priorities are met. Now, on income, the key distinction is often framed at the moment as residential versus business. Higher rates on business actually reduce the supply of business activity and reduces the opportunities in the community. So, if you do that, it's fraught with danger. Not a good idea. Occupied homes and operating businesses should not be penalised. A better distinction is active versus inactive property. Homes are lived in. Businesses that operate will strengthen our local community. It's that simple. Long-term vacant properties can carry a reasonable differential rate of, say, an increase of 15 to 20% to encourage them to actively let their place and use the property which is vacant. This is the policy direction I am recommending to you as councillors and for the officers to put in place. I know the councillors direct the policy, the officers sort it out, and the officers do the doing. On expenditure, every dollar of staff time, contracts, technology and services must be tested against these priorities.
Thank you very much, Will. You're welcome to take a seat. Our next speaker is Karen Fitzsimons. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm the one with the annoying cough in the back of the room. I'm sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, councillors, the CEO, directors and community members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Karen Fitzsimons, CEO of Olympic Neighbourhood House. I stand here with your Neighbourhood House colleagues seeking your support for our recent budget submission. Tonight I will focus on the outcome this investment will bring to our neighbourhood house, which is ensuring every member of our Heidelberg West community, not only those who meet government eligibility criteria, can access affordable education opportunities. Most who participate in our education and training programs are eligible to receive state government or federal government funding. However, there is a critical gap between those who are supported with government funding and those who are not. This government funding only covers eligible students, usually Australian citizens, permanent residents, or people who meet strict visa or concession criteria. This means that eligible students receive heavily reduced program costs, whilst ineligible students pay the full cost, often in the thousands per annum. For many newly arrived migrants, people on bridging visas, or anyone who fall outside the eligibility rules, that price makes access to training and education virtually impossible. The result is a widening gap in our neighbourhood. The increased funding uplift we are seeking would allow us to financially support those who are ineligible for government funding, thus removing cost as a barrier, ensure those, regardless of visa, background or financial position, can access affordable education and pathways into work. This is about giving people a fair chance. This uplift will further support us in aligning with council priorities, including supporting community wellbeing and opportunities to participate in community activities, which include learning, skill development and social connection, all directly related to equitable access to education. Provide equitable access to learning, crucial for a thriving local economy. Skills development, adult education and training are key mechanisms for community members to participate in the workforce and lift their economic prospects. In summary, this investment ensures that Olympic Neighbourhood House continues to provide life-changing support and equitable access to education for those who are doing it tough and for those who currently fall through the eligibility gaps. Thank you for considering this request and for your commitment to a fair and thriving Banyule community.
Thanks very much, Karen. While you're standing there, does any councillor have a question of our speaker? Okay, no, take a seat, Karen. I neglected to ask us, does any councillor have a question of the previous speaker, Will Charlton? No? Okay. Matt Carr, you're up next. There you go, Matt.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Champion and councillors. My name is Matt and I'm representing the Heidelberg and Olympic units of the State Emergency Service. Our units are run by local volunteers who provide emergency response to the Banyule community. We also assist police, fire and ambulance in support roles and conduct important community engagement activities to educate and prepare the community for storms, floods and extreme weather events. Collectively, our units have around 150 active and operational members servicing Banyule. Our highly trained volunteers are ready to respond to emergencies 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. In the 2025 calendar year, our units responded to 604 requests for assistance from the Banyule community. This represents an increase of 25% compared to 483 incidents in the year prior. We're experiencing an ever-increasing demand for our services due to more frequent and severe weather events. As you may be aware, we receive an annual allocation from the state government which covers only around 50% of our operational costs. We rely heavily on donations, fundraising and council support to make up the shortfall. In FY 25-26 and in years prior, Banyule have generously committed an annual contribution of $5,000 to each unit. We would like to thank Banyule Council for this funding, which is not only critical for sustaining our operations, but is also an acknowledgement of our strong partnership and recognition of the work we do in the community. Tonight, we would like to formally request the continuation of this critical funding for a period of 4 years. We request funding of $7,000 per annum for each the Heidelberg and Olympic units, with a 3% annual increase, which is in line with increased operating costs. This will provide a more sustainable funding model to help cover expenses now and into the future. With your support, we are confident we can maintain the ongoing effectiveness of our emergency response efforts and further strengthen the safety and resilience of the Banyule community. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Matt. Did any councillor have a question of the speaker? No, you're welcome to take a seat, Matt. Thank you for coming tonight. Our next speaker is Andrew Kitchen. And Mel.
Do apologise for the change. Andrew has a sore throat and hasn't got a voice after the weekend.
Away you go, Mel.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Champion and councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Mel Hutchinson and I represent the Good Brick Oz, a social enterprise based here in Greensborough that I co-founded with Andrew Kitchen, who many of you may already know from his work in the local community. Tonight I'm here to invite Banyule City Council to partner with us in expanding an initiative that is already creating opportunities for young people in this community. As part of the partnership, we are seeking council investment over the next 3 years to help ensure the sustainability of our Good Brick training program for young people in Banyule. Importantly, this investment builds on something that is already operating and already supported by the community. The Good Brick training program focuses on capacity building for neurodivergent young people, helping them develop confidence, independence, and practical life and workplace skills needed to develop confidence, independence, and practical life skills needed to participate more fully in the community. This funding would support structured training sessions, participant mentoring and supervision, and development of learning resources and supported workplace learning opportunities delivered through our social enterprise environment. This matters because too many capable young people are currently being left out of the workforce. In Australia, only around 30 to 40% autistic adults are employed, despite many wanting work and having valuable skills. The barrier is rarely ability. It is access to environments where people can build confidence and develop workplace readiness in supportive settings. The Good Brick provides exactly that environment. We operate a community-led Lego store and creative workspace built around the circular economy model. Families donate Lego, our team sorts and rebuilds it, and it is then sold through our retail store and online platforms. To our knowledge, the Good Brick is currently the only Lego-based social enterprise operating in Australia, combining circular economy reuse and inclusive training opportunities. But the store itself isn't the real product. The store is the learning environment. Young people gain supported work experience while developing skills such as teamwork, communication, organisation and confidence in real workplace settings. In these early stages, we are already seeing strong community demand. We now have a growing wait list of young people wanting to participate. And thanks to the generosity of the community, we have already processed over 350 kilograms of donated Lego. Since opening our doors in Greensborough, the residents from Banyule community has been incredible. Our grand opening recently brought together families, builders and community members. With the right support, the Good Brick can become the local model of how communities create inclusive opportunities for young people who are too often overlooked by traditional employment pathways.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mel and Andrew, does any councillor have a question of the speakers? No, you're welcome to take a seat. Thank you very much for coming. Our next speaker is Rick Cohen.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I want to ask you to invest in the local residents that deserve and need pathways to a better life. For someone who's overcoming severe barriers to employment, mental health issues, family, domestic violence, intergenerational unemployment, people who are trans, people who are First Nations, basically all types of people who have different types of vulnerabilities, the ability to build a better life through opportunity just isn't there for them. As well as a stable income, meaningful and gainful work restores confidence, routine, dignity and connection to community, and that is exactly what Worthy Cause does. We're a social enterprise that creates paid employment opportunities for people who face these impassable and often invisible barriers to employment. Our model combines award rate income jobs with our 3 food manufacturing, catering and hospitality businesses with structured wraparound employment skills and job readiness development. People who are long-term unemployed spend 6 months with us, and 92% of the time they move into jobs, education and higher apprenticeships. Almost every single person who comes through our door spends the rest of their life benefiting from the work that we did with them. My proposal is to seek $290,000 over 3 years to relocate one of our production kitchens into Banyule and use that to employ 15 local vulnerable residents of Banyule each year. 45 people who never got a leg up, 45 people who have been left behind, 45 people whose lives will be changed forever. Alongside the academic findings, our impact measurement has shown that employment reduces social isolation, improves mental health, strengthens community connection, and increases economic participation. I hope that sounds familiar because that is exactly what you've identified in our inclusive, healthy, and connected opportunity priorities for this budget. You've probably heard this many times, and I've definitely asked it many times, why should council fund this? And the simple answer is, if you really want an inclusive, healthy and connected community, then you need to pay what it costs to ensure its creation and ongoing prosperity. If you want to see the changes that you're trying to enact through this budget, you need to support the organisations that are in the community making it our reality. Councillors, I'll take a breath. I implore you to see this as a funding investment in our community, an investment in opportunity for vulnerable people in Banyule, an investment in healthy, inclusive and connected community. I want to warmly invite all of you to see one of our facilities over in Darabin. And I want to speak further to you about the opportunity that this could be for worthy cause and for Banyule and for our residents. We would be very proud to partner with the Banyule Council and to make this happen, and thank you very much for your time and consideration. I'm going to leave a few brochures over there with Mary. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Rick. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Okay, thank you. You're welcome to take a seat, Rick. Okay, our next speaker, Tamara Katic.
Glasses on. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on behalf of Araluen and the many people with disabilities who live and contribute to Banyule every day. Araluen is a non-for-profit organisation that supports around about 200 people with disabilities in the northern suburbs. Our Chances Cafes exist to support people with disability to gain the skills, experience and confidence they need for long-term open employment. The fact is, people with disabilities are underrepresented in the workforce in Banyule, not because they lack talent or motivation, but because economic systems and structures are not inclusive. People are learning skills at Chances that employers in Banyule need, but getting and keeping work remains significantly harder because the tailored pathways that support people to transition from training to working simply do not exist, and we can't build them alone. Employment barriers for people with disability are many: navigating transport, the need for greater employer and community understanding and confidence, a lack of accessible equipment and workplace support, limited open employment options close to home, limited work experience placements and virtually no transition support. We believe we can change this with the support and partnership of Council and the Banyule business community. But rather than talk about people, I want you to hear directly from someone who's living this journey. Jess, a part of our program, Chances program, and recently an Araluen employee. She began as a trainee in the cafe and now has part-time open employment with us as a participant champion and advisor. Jess, maybe you can share a few words about what it means to finally be part of the workforce.
How does my job make me feel? It makes me feel confident, proud, excited, stronger, power, happy, motivated, satisfied, inspired, support, accomplished and encouragement.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Across Banyule, people are ready to work, ready to contribute and ready to participate. But when people are shut out of economic participation, the impact is immediate and deep. Work is not just income. It's health, well-being, safety, connection and dignity. Without it, people face poorer mental and physical health, greater isolation, more abuse and neglect and fewer choices in life. A community that leaves people out cannot be healthy, sustainable or grow. That is why Council support now matters. Not to run cafes or training, we already do that, but to build the bridges that take people from willing to work to working. So I leave you with this. Imagine loving your community, but realising it wasn't built with you in mind. Imagine knowing you could succeed if only the door opened. Together we can open the door. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the speakers? Thank you both very much for this evening. Our next speaker is Michael Maloney.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors. My name is Michael Maloney, President of the Lower Plenty Football and Netball Club. Our ground is the South Oval, Montmorency Park, Parade, Montmorency. We field 3 senior men's team, 2 senior women's team and 2 feeder, being Football Integration Development Association teams. And we pride ourselves on being an inclusive club with strong and welcoming culture. Thank you to the Council for resurfacing work currently underway at South Park Oval. I appear tonight to request a small extension to that project. Specifically, we ask the Council consider resurfacing 2 areas adjacent to the clubhouse, covering approximately 100 square metres. These areas are presently crushed rock in front of the club rooms and an uneven brick path from the home change rooms. The primary reason for this request is accessibility. Several of our feeder players, their families and supporters have physical disabilities and find it difficult and unsafe to move across uneven or broken surfaces. A single smooth surface around the clubhouse would significantly reduce trip hazards and improve and make safe movement for people with mobility challenges. We also host a Vietnam Veterans Day each August. A smooth, stable surface at the front of the clubhouse would help older veterans attend without the increased risk of a fall, which can have serious consequences for elderly people. Finally, additional resurfacing would benefit all club patrons and the public by reducing muddy areas during wet weather, improving usability and presentation of the facility. That's really all I've got to say, and that's for obviously next year's budget. So thank you for considering this request and for your ongoing support of the South Oval and our community club. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Michael. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Lovely. Thank you very much, Michael. Take a seat.
Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Julie Johnston.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, CEO and council staff. My name is Julie Johnson. I'm the manager of the North East Neighbourhood House Network. I work with neighbourhood houses in Banyule, Darebin, Nillumbik, Whittlesea and Yarra. Councillors, you've got a tough job. I don't envy you in making the decisions that you're going to have to make in deciding what goes in the budget and what doesn't. Tonight I'm speaking on the submission, in support of the submission to increase funding to the 7 neighbourhood houses in Banyule. My colleagues will speak about specific neighbourhood house outcomes. It makes good economic sense to invest in neighbourhood houses. For every dollar of income, they deliver $7.87 of community value. This figure has been based on a formula developed by Deloitte Access Economics that takes into account the improved quality of life through social connection, volunteer contributions, emergency relief, services provided, adult community education, early childhood education and care. So for every dollar of income, it's $7.87 of value. Council funding for neighbourhood houses builds our capacity to leverage funding from other sources. Neighbourhood houses are able to access funding that's not available to council, such as philanthropic funding and other funding streams from other levels of government. And thirdly, neighbourhood houses carry out vital work in the community that aligns with council priorities. Social connection with purpose is one of the Banyule health and wellbeing priority areas. Neighbourhood houses contribute directly to the objectives of this priority, which are targeted social connection and belonging initiatives, intergenerational, interculture and intercultural connections, enhanced vocational and volunteering opportunities across community settings. We know that neighbourhood houses are effective in facilitating social connection through a recent survey of Banyule's neighbourhood houses. 1,246 people responded to this survey, and that showed that the top 3 benefits of attending neighbourhood houses were spending time with other people, meeting people and making new friends, and improving personal wellbeing and confidence. In closing, I urge you to support the increase to help neighbourhood houses to continue to work with council to deliver these important services and benefits for for Banyule residents. Thanks for considering this budget submission and for your ongoing support. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Julie. Does any councillor have a question? Councillor Alida McKern.
I'm just wondering how you came up with that figure.
Sure. So Deloitte Access Economics did some research it started off with Morwell Neighbourhood House, and they looked at a whole range of different things, inputs that neighbourhood houses provide. So the amount of food relief delivered, the number of hours of childcare, the number of adult education, and then they use formulas like quality life year adjusted quality life adjusted years, QALYs, to come up with this formula. So it's our statewide peak, Neighbourhood Houses Victoria, develop a value report for each neighbourhood house, and that's based on the annual reporting that each of the 400 neighbourhood houses across Victoria do annually. So that's not just a number I came up with to impress you guys. that number, I can give you that report if you like, and we have it broken down by each neighbourhood house as well as for the whole of Banyule neighbourhood houses.
Thank you. If you do have some information.
Sure, I'm happy to forward that. Actually, I think the Banyule report was attached with my submission, but I'm happy to send you any individual ones as well. So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does any other councillor have a question they'd wish to ask?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have a question, if I may. Yeah, thank you, Julie, for your presentation. I can see that the North East Neighbourhood House Network has helped coordinate submissions from all of our neighbourhood houses, seeking a material uplift in funding from council. My question is, have you also been engaging with the two other levels of government, state and federal, and can you provide an indication of whether there's any uplift funding potential from those tiers of government? Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. We currently have a statewide funding campaign for the Neighbourhood House Coordination Program through the Departments of Families, Fairness and Housing, and neighbourhood houses from across the state gathered on the steps of Parliament House on the 18th of February, asking the government for a 25% increase in the funding for neighbourhood houses, because there hasn't been an increase to keep up with the increases in cost of delivery. So we're asking that, and it would be fantastic for council to support that campaign. We would love it if you wrote to the Treasurer on our behalf to support that campaign. So the campaign's called Keep Our Doors Open. And yeah, there were 400 or so people with placards and banners on the steps of Parliament House. But we're doing those public rallying as well as the individual lobbying. We've sent thousands upon thousands of postcards to Minister Ros Spence. Now we're focusing our attentions on the Treasurer and Premier. So we don't have any indication as to what we'll see in the budget. Expecting maybe a little bit, but hopefully it would be wonderful if we got the 25%. But we need the funding from all those levels for the operational funding to do our work, so that then we can bring in the individual project funding, because the individual project funding generally doesn't cover
Julie,
salaries.
just to be clear, the answer to Deputy Mayor's question is no, not yet. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Thank you.
Waiting for May. Fingers crossed.
Okay. Did any other councillor have a question at all they'd like to ask? Okay. No, lovely. Thank you. Take a seat, Julie. Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is Yvonne Reedy.
Hello. I'm here to represent the Green Hills Neighbourhood House. I'm the president of the Green Hills Neighbourhood House. Sounds very posh. Mayor, councillor and officers, thank you for the chance to speak with you today. The Green Hills Neighbourhood House has been part of the Banyule community for more than 40 years, and in that time we've become something very simple but very important, a place where people feel welcome, a place where people from all walks of life come together to connect, to learn something new, or just to find a moment of belonging. We've always been a home for intergenerational connection, grandparents, young families, teens, retirees, and everyone in between. People come to Green Hills because they know it's a place you can contribute and feel valued. Our regular social groups, from craft and chat sessions to excursions and community activities, help people build friendships, confidence, and routines that really matter. We're also a place where community wellbeing is taken seriously but kept accessible. Our low-cost, inclusive exercise classes, including Tai Chi and yoga, give people gentle ways to improve their health, especially those who can't afford or don't feel comfortable in more formal fitness settings, such as below us. Everything we do, all the connection, all the creativity, all the community spirit, is made possible because of commitment, resourcefulness, and a large and incredibly dedicated volunteer base. Their energy is what keeps Green Hills thriving. But Green Hills is also evolving. Today, we're a space that supports intercultural connection through community lunches, cooking classes, shared celebrations, and activities that bring people from different cultures and generations together around food, creativity, and conversation. We also put a strong emphasis on sustainability, from gardening activities to swapping and sharing goods, to practical waste reduction initiatives, with a real focus on reducing food waste. These programs not only look after the environment, but they bring people together around a shared purpose and teach skills that last. We're proud to be part of Banyule and truly grateful for the support of Council and that Council has provided over the years. And that partnership is the foundation that allows us to do what we do. Right now, the needs in our community are growing and they're changing. With increased funding, we can keep up our momentum. We can extend our hours into evenings and weekends so people who work, single parents and women who need safe, welcoming places can access what we offer. In short, increased funding would allow us to keep doing what Green Hills does best, meeting our community with grace, warmth and adaptability. And making sure. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Yvonne. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Okay, thanks, Yvonne.
Thank you.
Next up, we've got Helen Webb.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Contact Community Centre is, at its heart, a place built by people for people. Each week we welcome an average of 450 visits from residents who come to connect, learn and feel part of their community. For more than 50 years, the centre has played a quiet but vital role in the everyday lives of Banyule residents, helping to reduce social isolation, supporting individuals and creating meaningful opportunities for people to come together. What makes this contribution even more significant is that we are entirely volunteer-run. Our committee of volunteers generously give their time to ensure the centre continues to operate and grow. It is something we are incredibly proud of, and it means that every dollar invested delivers strong direct value back to the community. However, this model is now under increasing pressure. Our committee is ageing and the administrative workload required to sustain the centre has grown significantly. While our volunteers remain deeply committed, the demands placed on them are becoming increasingly difficult to maintain over the long term. We are not seeking large-scale change. Instead, we are requesting modest funding to provide administrative support through a partnership with what's only a neighbourhood house. This is a small practical step, but one that will make a meaningful difference. It will ensure essential administrative tasks are managed reliably and consistently. It will reduce pressure on our volunteer committee and, most importantly, help secure the ongoing stability of the centre. Our impact also extends beyond the centre itself. Through our charity, upcycling and recycling initiatives, volunteers transform donated materials into hundreds of handmade items each year. These are distributed to nursing homes, hospitals, welfare groups and individuals across the community, strengthening connection, reducing waste and supporting those in need. These programs continue to thrive thanks to the dedication of our volunteers. We are asking you to invest in a simple, cost-effective solution that protects and strengthens a community asset that is clearly valued. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thanks very much, Helen. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? No, you're welcome to take a seat. Thank you, Helen. Next, we have Joe Brislin.
Can I go ahead?
Good evening, Mayor, councillors and staff, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jo Brislane and I'm the Treasurer of the Green Hills and Wellington Street Neighbourhood Houses, and I'm here to speak about the work of the Wellington Street Neighbourhood House in particular and the important role it plays in our Banyule community. 2 years ago, we were successful in our expression of interest to operate 7 Wellington Street, Montmorency, as a space for the Montmorency community, and we're proud to say that Wellington Street Neighbourhood House is now a vibrant and inclusive community space that uses creativity, volunteering and social enterprise to strengthen connection, reduce social isolation and promote environmental sustainability. Each week, the House hosts craft, art and creative programs that support participation, wellbeing and cultural expression. It is home to a number of clubs and peer groups, including groups for adults, neurodiverse young people and women over 60. The House also provides a welcoming drop-in space for carers and their clients, autistic and neurodivergent people and people living with psychosocial disability. What makes Wellington Street unique is that many of its activities are community-led. Garden groups, social groups and creative collectives, such as the textile group A Fitting Connection, are supported by a small team that helps foster leadership, collaboration and shared ownership of the space. A core part of the house is the Welcome Wardrobe, our community op shop and social enterprise. The Welcome Wardrobe provides affordable and dignified access to clothing while embedding LGBTIQA+ and disability inclusive practices in its operations. The House also supports practical resource sharing for the community, including free access to books, art materials and plants and seedlings. These initiatives improve affordability, encourage reuse and make resources more available to local residents. With increased support, Wellington Street Neighbourhood House has the potential to significantly expand its impact. Additional funding would allow us to grow our circular economy initiatives by increasing the reuse, repair and resale of clothing, textiles, art supplies and household goods while expanding our tool and reuse libraries. It would also help strengthen partnerships with local traders and organisations and create employment and training pathways through the Welcome Wardrobe. Importantly, it would allow us to maintain consistent programming during holiday periods, reducing seasonal isolation and supporting greater participation across the community. Wellington Street Neighbourhood House is a place where people find connection, creativity, dignity and belonging. With continued support, it can deliver even greater social and environmental benefits for the Banyule community. Thank you for your time this evening and your support to date.
Thank you, Jo. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Thanks very much, Jo. Next we have Ashan Abuzar.
Thank you, councillors, Mayor. Thank you very much. So I'm here to speak about the differential rates structure that's been proposed on the Banyule Council website. In terms of my submission, I'd said while it's unclear as to how much the average business is paying in terms of council rates compared to the average residential rate pay in the current levy structure, I guess what I'm saying is it's unfair to penalise businesses with a 25% differential increase under the proposed new fee structure without clear justification. The proposed fee structure wasn't canvassed in the Banyule banner. It's not widely known among ratepayers. I think there's another speaker later today who's going to talk to this same topic. There may be legitimate arguments for and against this differential rate structure that affects businesses, but it hasn't been canvassed for consideration because of the lack of widespread knowledge on this matter. So, some arguments for and against might not have been canvassed in this forum or others. While the councils may already have high differential rates in place for commercial properties and businesses, I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't we want to encourage more viable small businesses to open up in Banyule? By not charging a higher differential rate, Banyule could be a point of difference that attracts future business owners to set up shop. Businesses already have various taxes and charges levied upon them from various state and federal governments, so just making that point there as well. Would also be good to kind of see how we benchmark against our other councils in terms of a differential rate increase against businesses. In terms of the rest of the rate structure that was proposed going forward, particularly around vacant properties, I guess my call out is there needs to be carve-outs for vacant properties if they are subject to development or if they're waiting to be tenanted while being actively advertised for rent. The definitions of what constitutes a vacant property are unclear. And in terms of an unoccupied premises, there was a definition there on the website around anything being unoccupied for greater than 12 months, but I guess I'm asking if there were some extenuating circumstances as to why a property might be vacant for so long. There should be carve-outs for that as well. So I guess I'm just raising some general concerns as a ratepayer. I'd just like to make it clear as well to councillors and everyone here that I am not a business owner in Banyule. I'm just making a submission as a resident. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Ashan. Does anybody, any councillor, have a question of the Speaker? Right, thanks very much,
Thank you.
Ashan. Please take a seat. Jeff Halliburton.
Good evening, councillors and staff. My name is Jeff Halliburton. I'm the Executive Officer of Diamond Valley Community Support, an organisation that's been supporting local families for more than 50 years. 2025 was one of the most challenging years we've seen, but also one of the most impactful. Last year we supported 2,569 people who needed assistance. They were from Banyule and surrounding communities and facing issues such as food insecurity, housing pressure, financial hardship or a sudden crisis. With the help of our partners and more than 100 volunteers, we were able to provide almost 300,000 in direct support. This included food parcels, bills and pharmacy assistance, food and petrol vouchers and a wide range of material items. This doesn't include our advocacy service, tax help, legal assistance or the referrals we do to essential services. These are just numbers. Every day we're dealing with mothers, fathers, children, pensioners, young people, students, friends, neighbours, who simply needed a hand at the right moment, and fortunately DVCS has been there to help them. But the reality, and you'll hear a lot of that tonight, is that the need is growing faster than the resources. We are seeing an increased demand already in 2026. We've had to take some decisions. Funding cuts, coupled with reduced profits from our social enterprises, have meant that we've made some tough and painful decisions. We've reduced our education support program. We've ceased providing food to our community pantries. We've shifted our food relief program from purchasing food to relying on Diamond Valley Food Share and Alex Makes Meals, two wonderful organisations that assist us. Whilst currently we're not financially sustainable, we have losses from the last 2 years, we are certainly looking to increase our income in a number of different ways. But tonight I'm primarily here to acknowledge the support that Banyule City Council gives Diamond Valley Community Support. I simply ask that your support continues, at least on the current level, but we must continue to have conversations on how we, council, community organisations, local leaders, businesses and residents can work together to make sure Banyule remains a place where no one falls between the cracks. DVCS wants to continue being part of this solution. We have the volunteers, we have the infrastructure, we have the experience. So to ensure sustainability, we are looking for continued assistance, and hopefully people who come will get the assistance they need.
Lovely, thank you very much, Jeff. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Okay, thank you very much, Jeff. Thanks for coming in tonight. Veronica Eaton.
Good evening all. I'm from St James Tennis Club, the club captain, and speaking on behalf of our community. St James Tennis Club in Belfield, 3081, has a desperate need to replace ageing facility infrastructure, its courts, lighting, fencing and plumbing. That's almost 47 years ago since we were first established, with its courts firstly opened in 1979 by the Heidelberg Mayor, followed by club rooms in 1982. We were fortunate to receive the relocation of halogen court lighting from the closure of Northview Tennis Club in '93. This has served us to light 2 of our 4 on-to-car courts. Maintenance and repairs have been serviced by our voluntary efforts throughout the years. However, we can no longer support financially the repairs and upgrades required for the courts and lighting highlighted by the findings in a recent audit report organised by the Council, found to be of a substandard condition. Upgrades are vital to ensure sustainability and growth of the club to serve its community. Olympia Ward has been identified as an area of high population growth, and recently its livability index was found to be the lowest in Banyule. We understand that all upgrades may not be possible in the one budget. We are proposing to complete the most urgent works in stages. Firstly, replacement of our halogen to LED court lighting and increased capacity to all of our courts. This will make it possible to connect to the online Book a Court gate padlock system, which currently enables public access only to daylight hours. Increased capacity to all our courts would offer additional availability for social and competition participation. This would then follow with an upgrade of our court surface from on-to-car to synthetic courts. Our strategy aligns with Banyule's vision and priority themes in the delivery plan and, of course, the health, wellbeing priorities of our community. We are the only tennis club in the Olympia Ward and have not received any major redevelopment capital funding from the Council. Therefore, we are hopeful that we may be considered in the coming budget. Improvements to St James Tennis Club in Belfield would come in line with surrounding sporting facility standards, including Fort Park sports fields and hockey club adjoining our club. St James recently had an open day and it was tremendous to see 80 participants from the area with great enthusiasm for the tennis club's vision. We also like to thank Mary O'Kane and the Sports and Recreation team at the Council for visiting and consulting with us. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Veronica. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Okay, thanks very much, Veronica. Lucy Holden.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of our recent budget submission. In an average week, around 400 local residents visit Watsonia Neighbourhood House. Last year, we delivered more than 1,400 activities, including social connection programs, community meals, life skill workshops, events and outings. We also provide auspice and share our resources with local community groups, helping other grassroots initiatives grow and thrive. Our centre is active across daytime, evenings, weekdays and weekends. Last year, our collective work, Neighbourhood Houses in Banyule, delivered more than $26.7 million in value. Those numbers matter, but they only tell part of the story. What they really represent is impact on people, especially our most vulnerable residents. We help people experiencing poverty and disadvantage through practical support delivered with dignity and care. We create opportunities for people to stay active through accessible, low-cost activities. We strengthen mental well-being and help people feel safer and less alone. And we build resilience in our community by nurturing a culture where people look out for one another. We are also deeply committed to promoting social equity, contributing to the prevention of gendered violence, supporting people at risk of alcohol, drug or gambling harm, and assisting people experiencing housing or food insecurity. Neighbourhood houses are unique places because we are open to everyone. People don't need a referral or an appointment. They don't have to enrol in a program. They can simply walk through the door. Watsonia Neighbourhood House is a safe, welcoming space where people feel valued. It's a place where friendships form naturally and where kindness and inclusion are embedded in everyday life. That is the real impact of neighbourhood houses. We strengthen the fabric of our community in ways that are difficult to measure but deeply felt. We are each seeking annual funding from Council. This investment will allow Watsonia to sustain and grow our programs, strengthen partnerships with organisations such as Contact Bundoora and Sustainable McLeod, and give us capacity to pursue additional grant opportunities and leverage further funding from other sources for our community projects. With Council's continued support, we can keep creating opportunities for connection, well-being and belonging for the residents of Banyule. Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Thanks very much, Lucy. Next, Alice Ewing.
Testing. Yes. So just to clarify, I am Alice Ewing and my Auslan interpreter will be voicing for me. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I would like to share two of the important aspects of the submission I made as a part of tonight's events. Yep. The first issue I would like to discuss is about sustainable residential access to solar resources. Yep. In particular, tonight I'll be focusing on access to solar and resources within the area and the livability of the area. Many residents in this area have already made a significant investment in rooftop solar and battery systems to support the transition to clean energy. However, the issue is when we are seeing the changes from single-storey dwellings and the neighbourhood changing to are being replaced with taller two-storey buildings, the existing adjacent properties are losing access to those solar resources that they have made a significant investment to capture. This overshadowing is very concerning. We are very concerned what the community will look like when it comes to different building planning permits, and that these permit processes are not subject to the same rigorous planning as commercial builds. Losing our access to solar is a significant demand on community resources. Solar energy and access to sunlight should be recognised as one of the most important community resources we have, particularly where households have already made this investment in renewable infrastructure. I encourage the Council to consider stronger protections for solar access in planning decisions, especially in establishing single-storey dwellings in the Banyule area, which may increase the number of residents who can then utilise the program, such as the Council's Solar Futures program. That was my first issue. The next issue I'd like to discuss is the impact of these houses on the neighbourhood character and livability. Many of us are seeing an increasing number of knockdown houses being replaced with properties that exceed the scale and privacy expectations of the existing residents. I love the trees and the greenery in our area, and I know that many of my neighbours feel the same and feel very disheartened by the changes we are seeing to the new build developments that are happening in our area. This is creating a culture of being overlooked, a loss of privacy and enjoyment of private outdoor spaces, as well as the greenery that we've all come to love, and increasing parking pressures and changes to the character that originally drew people like myself to moving into this area.
Thanks very much, Alice. Does anybody have a question, or any councillor have a question of the Speaker? No, thanks very much. Thanks, Alice. Michelle Renton. Okay. Geordie Bradley.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. My name is Geordie, and I recently joined Banyule Support and Information Centre as their new manager. BANSIC has a long history of serving our local community, and we couldn't do it without Banyule Council, so I wanted to thank you all for your past and ongoing support. Many know us for our food hub, which grew out of COVID and now supports over 400 clients a month. We provide fresh fruit and veg, pantry staples, pre-made meals, culturally appropriate options, and most importantly, we make sure that every client chooses food that works for them, including those experiencing homelessness. Our food hub is an amazing program, but at BANSIC we do so much more than provide emergency food relief. Our volunteers work incredibly hard to affirm the dignity of every client who walks through our doors. We strive to prevent social isolation and foster inclusive, connected communities, supporting new migrants and knowing that for some clients we may be the only people that they speak with all day or even all week. At our op shop, volunteers greet residents with warmth, and our op shop manager Donna knows nearly every name and story. That's community development in action. At Shop 48, our volunteers take time to sit with clients and hear their stories. Our workers check in on families, making sure everyone has what they need, from free medication and toiletries to help navigating Centrelink, tax issues or bill relief. We offer support when it matters most. And we're one of the only services who do not require a healthcare card to access support, because we know that life is more complicated than that. Since 2019, demand for our services has increased by 337%. And our client base is widening to include residents who could previously make ends meet. We're not a domestic violence service, but our volunteers build trust so that our clients feel safe to tell us when they don't feel safe at home. We're not an AOD service, yet our staff and volunteers work alongside residents experiencing substance use every single day, ensuring they're treated with respect and understanding. We're not a specialised sexual assault crisis centre, yet we call the police and sit with survivors when they're brave enough to disclose to us. We're on the front lines and we work with people who have some of the most complex needs and lived experience in Banyule. And we know that demand will continue to grow with further growth in social housing planned for our area. The budget request we've put forward is the real cost of delivering these programs, and the figures that we've presented to you all are based on 2.5 years of actuals, 6 months of approved budget, and 5% inflation based on CPI. We're working hard to diversify our income and have made some good progress, but this will take time. And we're incredibly excited to be part of the West Heidelberg Integrated Services Hub. But until then, we need support to continue support our current operational costs. And to continue this important work in a safe and sustainable way, we need an increased financial investment from Council. So I thank you for considering our request.
Thanks very much, Geordie. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Okay, thanks, Geordie.
Thank you.
Merrin Lawson.
Hi, my name's Merrin. I've been volunteering with BANSIC for 5 years and providing financial counselling services there for the past 3 years. I wanted to speak to you today to express the importance of the work BANSIC does for our community. What's special about BANSIC is how we provide complete services to our community. So many of the people I see initially come to BANSIC seeking food support at our food hub, but there is so much opportunity to support them with other challenges they are facing. Our volunteer community support workers sit with the clients to learn about their needs and link them up with me and other specialist services. There is a lot of stigma around people who struggle financially, but so many of our clients just don't have the tools they need and are up against some pretty big systemic barriers, including intergenerational factors. For example, let's say you're behind on your electricity bill. So many people don't even know that they have the option to pay off their debt in instalments or could be eligible for concessions or grants. Even if they do know this and they attempt to set up a payment plan, you need to have a working phone to speak to the supplier. Many of our clients can't afford the credit or data recharge on those phones or have lost their phone, it's broken, so on. So BANSIC support means that our clients won't have their electricity disconnected and we can help them avoid further debt or dishonour fees. Education is a big part of what we do. I sit with the clients and figure out how best to manage their money while teaching them the skills they need to get back on track. We look at budgeting, money management, I give them information, we talk to people that they might have debts with. Often this is council rates, amongst other things. Those for whom English is their second language often find transactions over the telephone challenging, so I help them to express their wishes. Through BANZIC, I'm also able to connect with other support services so that our clients' lives can be improved. For instance, free data through the Optus Giving program, access to a refurbished laptop, connections with a Work Ready program, tax help or back-to-school support. I couldn't do this without the important work of BANZIC's Food Hub. Thank you all so much for your ongoing support and your time this evening.
Thanks very much, Marion. Did any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Thank you. Frank Couprie. Frank.
Thank you. Hi. I joined BANZIC as a volunteer last year and I was keen to speak on their behalf of their budget request. Look, we all know Banyul's a great place to live. People have access to beautiful parks, hospitals, libraries, community facilities that offer great opportunities for participation and connection. But while we have all that, there are still people in Banyul who are isolated, struggling and in need of a lot of support. And these are people who can't afford enough food, children who are going hungry or cold, people recovering or escaping from domestic violence or having to choose between having heating and enough food. And what I've seen is that often people don't get a choice. They have sometimes have neither heating or food. These people aren't strangers to this community. They are our neighbours. They are women, children, men, people who have disabilities, older citizens and new arrivals trying to find a footing in their new country. For many of these people, accessing support from government authorities is complicated, scary, difficult, and it isn't often available in the time that they need it. And this is where BANZIC and others like this council who support them make a difference. The support they give is local, it's easily accessed and it's given in real time. And from my experience and what I've seen in the past year, this works at BANZIC because they understand something really important. BANZIC seems to understand that saying you care isn't enough. Its model of support recognises that compassion needs structure and care needs action. And BANZIC brings those things together to support an increasing number of people, well over 1,000 last year, many in crisis or close to it. Now, the other thing I think I saw is that each time someone receives support from BANZIC, it's a bit like placing a brick in a wall, building confidence, stability and hope and relationships. And it's not just for them, it's for all of us, it's for all of our community. But I think the best thing about BANZIC is that it's the community helping itself. Over 90 volunteers give their time. They bring local knowledge, relationships and genuine care. When BANZIC helps somebody, it doesn't just help that person, it strengthens our whole community. I think they're very worthy of your support. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Frank. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of our Speaker? Thanks very much, Frank. Next up, Mark Goody. All right. Next up, David Mulholland.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. Community consultation should be the cornerstone of local government. After all, the decisions made by Council affect every resident and every business in Banyule. But consultation only works if the community actually knows it is happening. Too often, significant policy proposals appear quietly on the Shaping Banyule website with limited promotion and short deadlines for feedback. Unless residents happen to come across the page themselves, they may never know Council is considering major changes that could affect them. That is not genuine consultation. When proposals involve important policy changes or financial impacts for ratepayers, the community should not have to hunt through a website to discover them. Consultation should be about actively informing residents, not passively waiting to see who finds the link. Bragg has found in its latest door knocking that most residents are unaware that their waste rates are based on property value. Discussion with local businesses has revealed no knowledge of the differential rates proposal. Local business people and residents are busy. Have affected business owners and ratepayers been directly contacted regarding these proposed major changes? Clarity is also an issue. Consultation material is often written in technical language that makes it difficult for the average resident or small business owner to understand exactly what is being proposed and how it might affect them. If people cannot easily understand a proposal, they cannot meaningfully respond to it. Timeframes matter as well. Complex issues require adequate time for residents and businesses to consider the information and provide thoughtful feedback. Short consultation periods inevitably limit participation and create the perception that consultation is simply about ticking a box. Consultation periods should also not include the Christmas New Year period. Banyule has an engaged and thoughtful community. People want to contribute to decisions that shape their neighbourhoods and businesses, but engagement only works when people believe their input actually matters. It should be about listening to the community before decisions are made. Thank you.
Thanks very much, David. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? No, thanks very much, David. Next we have up Ken Gooden. Okay. We have either Christian Beltrame or Fiona Kasmatis. Felicity Gordon.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors, for the opportunity to speak this evening. I also acknowledge the First Nations people on the land on which we meet, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung. The arts in Banyule have a long and rich history, from the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people to the Heidelberg School. Banyule has sustained people who give meaning to existence through storytelling, asking deep questions and creating beauty and wonder. The arts have the capacity to increase people's well-being, reduce feelings of loneliness and create meaning and connection to place. The Banyule Open Studio program is approaching its 5th year and is a wonderful opportunity to invite the community to experience in a real-life way where artists work and create culture. In 2025, the community was invited to participate in a unique series of workshops held within artist studios. The program has been a catalyst for several other arts activities and collaborations. It has seen the development of many artists' careers, building confidence through professional networks and practices. We have a lot to be proud of in Banyule. This year we look forward to the involvement of Barboon and Beat Gathering Place and early expressions of interest from the Jets Creative Arts Studio for young people. Over the past 5 years, we have created a Banyule-wide arts network, which we hope to foster and grow. Artist registrations for involvement in the 2026 program are now open and close on the 3rd of May, and all studio-based artists are encouraged to apply. In 2025, we gratefully received Banyule Council funding enabling our voluntary-run organisation to offer an exciting and inclusive program. We held an official opening where community members enjoyed live performances by Banyule musicians. The artwork of 45 Banyule artists was showcased in 25 art studios, open to the public from the weekend on the 11th and the 12th of October. Public visits increased from previous years, with over 2,000 studio visits. During informal feedback, many artists reported community members were inclined to visit for longer, wanting to discuss things such as what were the artists' aim in creating the work and possible future directions. BOSS has become a valued part of the annual Banyule cultural calendar, and as part of this budget feedback process, BOSS is requesting annual funding for 4 years. This will give the program the stability to become a leader in the area of community arts engagement and acknowledge our local arts industry. You've been forwarded a full proposal, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thanks again.
Felicity. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker?
Thank you, Mayor. Felicity, I was just going to ask how does this compare to the Nillumbik? Are you aware of the Nillumbik Open Studios?
Yeah, we are aware. We collaborate with them and share information. For instance, they put us on to the development of an app where people can look at a map and go and visit studios. They struggled with a very large program, and ours is about 2/3 the size of theirs, so we seem to have more success in getting people to visit studios. Yeah, I mean, we're similar in the thing. I guess the thing is that Banyule has, for a long time, had a big emphasis on sporting clubs and facilities and not much on the arts. And artists are the kind of people who, we're not unionised. We don't often join organisations and groups and advocate for ourselves. So we've just sort of gone under the radar in Banyule, but not now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Felicity. Okay, next we have Eve Fraser.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, councillors and officers, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. My name is Eve Fraser. I am the co-manager of Farm Raiser in Belfield, and I'm here representing both Farm Raiser and Caring Farms Co-op in Greensborough. I would really like to ask for your support in continuing the Good Food Voucher program for Banyule residents. As we've heard multiple times tonight, many local food relief organisations are run off their feet. And the Good Food Voucher program offers an additional option that is dignified, practical and locally focused. Locals experiencing food insecurity receive a voucher that they can use to shop at Banyule's 2 social enterprise farms. They choose fresh produce that suits their family, culture and diet. This approach restores agency and dignity while providing meaningful food relief. Banyule Council's last budget contribution helped distribute 400 vouchers as a pilot program through 8 local organisations, including Launch Housing, neighbourhood houses, schools and Aboriginal health organisations. This has been an outstanding success and the uptake has exceeded expectations. If I had more time, I'd really love to regale you with some stories of the residents who are using these vouchers, but that's not for tonight. This program goes far beyond food relief and food insecurity. There are benefits to Banyule's key social enterprises. Many new relationships have been forged between local community organisations, and voucher recipients are accessing not only food but new skills and social connections. When vouchers are redeemed, locals access healthy fresh food, and funding flows directly to supporting Farm Raiser and Caring Farms, 2 grassroots social enterprises who work to provide food access, disability inclusion, education and community building to Banyule residents. The program is creating new partnerships with community organisations, for example between Farm Raiser and Barban and Beak, who are integrating their vouchers into cooking classes for mob experiencing food insecurity, Participants who use the vouchers will use these vouchers to purchase ingredients for cooking classes, and then they will receive additional vouchers after the cooking classes so that they can continue cooking at home for their families. So this is food relief that builds knowledge and culture and independence. Finally, we're seeing incredible social outcomes. People who first came to Farmraiser to redeem a voucher are now joining our volunteer community. They're growing food together, they're meeting neighbours, building social connections and much more. For many participants, that sense of belonging is almost as valuable as the food itself. So I'm here to ask Council to invest in the future of this program so that we can provide 1,000 vouchers to Banyule residents experiencing food insecurity, more than doubling the reach of the pilot program. This investment delivers multiple outcomes that link to many Banyule strategies. Thank you all.
Thanks, Eve. Does any councillor wish to ask the Speaker questions at all? No, thanks very much, Eve. Next we have Sarah Gittins. Duncan Palmer. Heather Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. My name's Heather Smith and I'm representing the 18 volunteer guides who help implement the Banyule Gardens for Wildlife program. We're asking for your support for a permanent full-time biodiversity programs officer within the council's core budget. Currently, the program is only supported by a casual part-time position. Banyule Council rightly embraces the protection and enhancement of biodiversity as outlined in its biodiversity strategy. However, the task is hindered by ongoing development and subdivision pressures, meaning gardens are becoming smaller and less supportive of wildlife. The Gardens for Wildlife program actively works to enhance community appreciation of Indigenous plants and the biodiversity potential of private gardens. The program is also significant in the ultimate success of the biodiversity strategy. Its aims are also consistent with other policies, including weed management strategy, the Health and Wellbeing Plan and Community Climate Action Plan. As part of our work, we actively promote the Urban Forest Strategy and Nature Strip planting guidelines. We believe the Council is receiving great return on investment from the program. Over the last 4 years, volunteer participation has grown significantly at an average of nearly 60% annually. Around 200 property assessments equate to nearly 4,000 Indigenous plants established, and hundreds of volunteer hours at an estimated $56,000 over 4 years represents solid value for the Council. This exceptional program growth has been driven largely by the Biodiversity Programs Officer, Angela Nation, in her casual part-time role. Our letter to you all outlined some of her responsibilities. Add to these successful Gardens for Wildlife participant events and supporting wider community activities like the Adopt a Tree celebration and eco-festivals. If Angela's role could be expanded to permanent full-time, Council will be maintaining a highly valued and skilled service that would also encompass other programs, including Spring Outdoors. While we enthusiastically support the current incumbent, this request ultimately is about program continuity. A permanent full-time biodiversity programs officer position would ensure this program's ongoing momentum, impact and alignment with Council's long-term biodiversity goals. We hope you'll consider our request. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Heather. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Thanks very much, Heather. Next up we have Louise Kenny-Shen.
Mayor, councillors, thank you for the time this evening. Winter Accommodation Resource Movement, or WARM Inc., is a community-led initiative establishing a supervised winter shelter for people experiencing homelessness in Banyule and across the northern suburbs. Tonight, we're asking Banyule Council to consider seed funding for our organisation to support the coordination, partnerships and volunteer training needed to bring our initiative into operation on June 1st this year, aligning with Banyule's the Banyule Plan 25 to 29 in serving homelessness locally. Winter is the hardest and most dangerous time of the year for people experiencing homelessness. On census night in 2021, more than 30,000 Victorians were without a home. WARM will provide a safe overnight space during the coldest months where people can access warmth, a meal, a safe place to sleep and connection to support services and, most importantly, community. Our aim is not to replace existing services but to provide additional winter surge capacity, working alongside local organisations and referral pathways already supporting people toward long-term stability. Initial conversations at St Peter's Church in Bundoora have led us now to be connected with churches, mosques, educational institutions, community organisations, NGOs and service providers across the northern suburbs to help build a coordinated winter response. Many people experiencing homelessness, as someone else this evening mentioned, have experienced significant trauma, including difficult experiences with institutions and navigating systems. For some, a community-based shelter like WARM can provide a safer first step, a circuit breaker during the hardest months of the year, showing that support is there and someone cares. Homelessness is also increasingly present across the northern suburbs, where people often move between neighbouring municipalities in search of support. Someone might sleep in Greensborough tonight, access services in Preston tomorrow and seek help in Epping later in the week, simply based on where support is available and where they feel safe. Because of that reality, WARM has been building relationships across the region. We've met with Banyule Council's Homelessness Network, as well as Darabin Council's Towards Zero team and their homelessness networks, and we have further discussions planned and conversations underway with the City of Whittlesea. Alongside this, we're putting strong governance and operational structures in place to ensure the shelter is supervised and volunteers are well trained and supported. Tonight, we are asking you to partner with us in supporting another pathway for people experiencing homelessness. The system is working hard, but the status quo doesn't suit everyone. That's why other councils and organisations across the north have been willing to engage with our initiative. They recognise that while services are working hard, community-led responses can add something different, helping reach people who may not always connect easily with the traditional systems. We're not asking councils to solve the problem alone, certainly not. We're asking you to help enable the community to form a response that's already taking shape across the northern suburbs. Winter is coming, and with Banyule's contribution, WARM can help ensure people in our community have somewhere safe to go this winter. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Councillor Rick, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a question of the Speaker, and I may have a follow-up question. But would you be able to estimate approximately, and based on your understanding, how many people would be sleeping rough tonight in Banyule?
In Banyule, I'm not 100% certain. The data, because of the difficulties that are faced with people sleeping rough and with homelessness, it's very hard to quantify in a specific spot where people are actually located. And half of the time, homelessness isn't where you can see it. It's somewhere where we can't see. It's someone sleeping in the football shelter at Bundoora Park, or it's somebody who's been sleeping on a friend's couch for the last 6 months. So it's really hard to quite quantify that. I'm sure that Mark from Moss has very, very good figures, but as they're a fantastic organisation we've been working with. But yeah, we don't, it's a very, very difficult number to actually quantify.
Thank you.
Councillor Alida.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. Thank you very much, Louise, for your submission. Last year, we heard Stephen Monsignor speak about Stable One. Is there an association between the two organisations? And if there is, could you explain it, please?
Absolutely. So, obviously, St Peter's Church is Father Stephen's church in Bundoora. Stephen and the lovely young man sitting next to him, Brendan, are the brains behind getting the right people around the table to get this off the ground. Through their discussions, we all talked about Stable One. The decision was made by the executive and the committee of that initial group that while Stable 1 is a fantastic program, it is tried and tested, it has proven effect. The fact that it is specifically related to one denomination of faith makes it a little bit inaccessible for some of the people in our very, very diverse communities in the northern suburbs. So we have decided that we will use that as a guide as how we develop the program, but focusing mainly on being faith-inspired rather than faith-restricted.
Great, thanks very much. Thanks, Louise.
I've got some brochures as well, if I can just leave that with.
And next is Adam Tong. All right. Just going back to the top. Just going back to the top of the list. Some speakers' names were called out and they were not present. We're going back to the top to just see if they've arrived. So Adam Mullins, have you arrived? Okay. Michelle Renton. Mark Goody.
Thank you. We're just deciding, am I getting up at all, or was I called out earlier? So that made sense. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Mark Goody, CEO of Mary Outreach Support Service. I'm here this evening to speak briefly about the Banyule Housing Support Program and to seek your support for the extension of funding for the Banyule Housing Support Program worker position. Before I begin, I want to acknowledge Banyule's Council's long-standing leadership in this space. For many decades, Banyule City Council has funded a dedicated housing support position for residents experiencing homelessness. This is something very few councils across Victoria do, and it demonstrates a genuine commitment to the wellbeing of vulnerable people in this municipality. The Banyule Housing Support Program has now been supporting the local community for over 46 years. Today, the program operates through Mary Outreach Support Service as part of our transitional outreach support team, providing case management, housing support for individuals and families experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness in Banyule. This work focuses on practical outcomes, helping people stabilise lives and move into safe, long-term housing. This support includes case management and housing advocacy, connecting people to health and community services, assisting and navigating the housing system, and supporting people to rebuild independence and stability. Importantly, this program consistently delivers results. The agreed service target for the Banyule funded position is 50 support periods per year, per annum. Last year, this program delivered 74, so value for money, significantly exceeding that target. This financial year, the program's already reached 50 support periods with several months still to go remaining. Most importantly, these supports lead to housing outcomes. This year alone, we've supported clients into public housing, community housing, affordable housing and crisis accommodation. Behind each of those numbers is someone in the Banyule community who is no longer homeless. Council's recent investment in the Banyule Assertive Community Outreach Program that we also deliver is extremely important. This is called the BACO program. So this engages people sleeping rough and builds trust with many who are not normally connected with services. The housing support program then becomes long-term pathway into housing and stability. Together, these programs form a complete local homelessness response, outreach, engagement and housing outcomes. Demand for housing support continues to grow across Victoria. Rising costs and limited housing supply mean more people are seeking assistance to secure stable housing. Extending this position ensures Banyule residents continue to have a dedicated pathway into housing support, delivered locally by workers who understand the community.
Thanks very much, Mark. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Councillor Rick, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And Mark, I asked the question earlier of our speaker from Warm but perhaps you may be able to shed light on this. But roughly how many people would be sleeping rough in Banyule at any given time, given your understanding?
Less than there was, because we've already started the BACO program. So most people we map who are sleeping rough and reported to us. So how that program works, we work with council departments and constituents, and we go to wherever someone is reported to be sleeping rough and engage them. And so I think the numbers when they did a research on it were sitting around about 30 people-ish. And so I know that's significantly reduced now.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. Does any other councillor have a question of the Speaker? Thanks very much, Mark. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks very much.
Okay, Ken Gooden. All right, Christian Beltrame or Fiona Casamatis? Right? Christian's coming? Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. We did a submission on the Capital Works program just to update the Banksia Street Reserve to appeal to young families. We previously just advocating for local residents. We kindly request some modest financial assistance to upgrade the reserve to appeal to young families. We're open-minded as to what can be done to achieve this objective, not seeking a substantial upgrade, rather something minor and modest that would appeal to young families. Naturally, at this point in time, the space is open, merely some beautiful trees and those that walk dogs. It's a sloping, irregular-shaped block, still quite substantial in size. The lack of any open spaces within walking distance for young families in this block is why it should present as an opportunity to accommodate their need whilst maintaining the beautiful parkland nature of the reserve, typical of Banyule parks across the council. I'm personally well versed in the parklands of Banyule, being a resident for over 40 years in different suburbs of Banyule. Vividly remember playing football on Ivanhoe Park, Chelsworth Park, Banyule Park grounds. They were great memories. Outdoor play provided so many health benefits for young people. In our area, there's rapid growth in high-density housing with a corresponding increase in younger families who rely on walkable, local open space for community health and wellbeing. And I, like many in the area, can relate to this trend in demographics, having seen the changes firsthand. Gone are the days of the big backyards that can meet the needs of young families. The next generation are crying out for meaningful open space that can combat the challenges of the technical age, getting kids off devices and outside in the park through unstructured outdoor play while building a closer community. So this request aligns with the Banyule Open Space Strategy, with the objectives to protect existing open space, improve access to local parks, and respond to increased residential density with meaningful nearby green spaces. The benefits to young families and directly children of the balanced approach are evident. Quoting from the Banyule Open Space Strategy papers, through play, children develop qualities necessary in adulthood, such as problem-solving, socialising, self-awareness, motor skills, creativity, resilience, flexibility, risk-taking and judgment. Parenting is not easy in 2026 and beyond. We need help where we can from councils to assist in this regard to raise healthy and happy young people. A proposed update could indeed be modest, cost-effective, highly functional to meet the needs, including potentially a basketball hoop, nature-based play elements, seating, shade to support generational use, safe, welcoming space, encourages physical activity and social connectedness. Better speed up here, eh? Currently, residents need to travel considerable distance or cross a busy major road in Banksia Street to get to the closest park. Obviously preferable for councils, experts and consultants to view the land to determine what's appropriate, taking into account all the relevant stakeholders.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Councillor Leader.
Thank you,
yes.
Christian, and the Friends of Banksia Street Reserve for your submission. You describe the reserve, as a fairly small space, and that there's not much open space within walking distance of the actual residential area surrounding the reserve. Can you describe, for the benefit of the councillor group, the density of housing that abuts and surrounds this reserve?
Well, the size of the reserve, gosh, you know, it might be 50 or 60 metres long and then 30 metres wide, something like that. I mean, it's not a square reserve, but the borders on one side, there's a block of townhouses, maybe 50. On the other side, that's onto the east, and then to the north, there's another 12 or 13 townhouses, of which I'm in one, and Fiona, the neighbour, who couldn't attend tonight. Then there's a small walkway, which sort of connects Banksia Street down towards the station, so lots of people use that. There's probably 3 or 4 houses at most, that probably less, 2 to 3 maybe, that border on either side.
So would you largely say that it's medium density housing with virtually no back or front yards? Or
well, at least based on what I just said, probably 75–80% of it is the townhouse unit sort of complexes that are building, and there's more going up. I mean, I saw another one on Upper Heidelberg Road, which is the same block that, you know, it's not bordering the reserve, but it's the same block. So, you know, there's obviously there's a massive house there that's been knocked down, and they're rebuilding there as well. So it's the trend, obviously. It's probably in other suburbs, but it's really particularly evident in that area. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Christian. Okay. Now I understand Ken Gooden has arrived, or Christopher Horsley, one of the two.
Thank you for having us all along. And I apologise because I didn't realise you were running ahead of schedule, and I was going to use this time to pretty much for preparation. But essentially, I'm here because our President, Chris Horsley, was unable to make it, and looking to present the budget proposal for the Heidelberg West Business Park Association. So the business park, as many of you may know, is situated in West Heidelberg. It comprises several blocks, and it comprises over 600 businesses, mostly in manufacturing, construction, automotive, wholesaling, all sorts of different areas. It employs over 4,500 people, which represents over 10% of the employment population in Banyule. So on behalf of the Business Park Association, we're requesting the Council to support the ongoing, provide the ongoing financial support to the association to the tune of about $65,000 per annum to assist in delivering the vital initiatives and support programs to small and medium businesses within Banyule's largest employment zone. This is essentially at the moment our only source of regular income, and it's critical to the continued success of the association. We are looking at the moment with the business development team here in Council to a more sustainable funding model into the future, which will involve a special rates charge, which could be implemented. But there's some barriers there that we need to ensure we address, because there's a fairly high threshold for approval in order to get that across the line. The key goals for the upcoming year are to continue our business networking activities, which encourage communication and collaboration between businesses, to launch our new marketing campaign, Heidelberg West Business Park, Hidden in Plain Sight, and to work on important things like implementing rubbish removal strategy and discouraging future dumping, focusing on safety and security to drive crime down, and improve the beautification and amenity of the precinct. We work very hard to network across businesses to leverage everything that different businesses can deliver to each other. We've been very active in community events, trying to promote the business park and trying to join the business park with the local community around it. We're working with the Postcards TV show at the moment to potentially have an episode involve that, showing our customer-facing businesses to the park. I can probably pretty much wrap it up at that. There's only a few seconds to go. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm more than happy to field those.
Thanks, Ken. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of the Speaker? Councillor Mary?
Thank you for that presentation. I'm just wondering, we were talking about where you were at about 12 months ago. What are you've mentioned a couple of points that in what you've just mentioned, but what are some of the more important things you think you've achieved in the last 12 months, even if it's a change in the pace of networking or anything like that? What are the highlights?
Well, the networking events continue to be successful, and we continue to bring more people within the precinct into those types of initiatives. So we run a monthly Coffee Connections thing, which essentially invites anybody from within the business precinct to meet at one of the local cafeteria or catering facilities within the park. It also gets those facilities known to members, and we talk about all sorts of things. We've had coffee with a cop before. We have various different type of networking functions, including our very successful Christmas party for those who were able to attend that. We were present at the Heidelberg West. I'm just trying to think of the name of the reserve, which is nearby the Malahar. Did I get that one right? Festival. We were there for that. And we're also involved in other economic initiatives in the Northern Precinct to try and promote the business park and the economic initiatives more generally. We do blood drives, we do flu vaccination things where we basically promote those events, and people come along to those for a catch up and a coffee, and also to deliver blood or get flu shots. I'm sure I've missed several of those, but yeah.
That's all right. Thank you very much. Councillor Alicia.
So, question. Just for the remaining council group to understand, is the challenges associated for most of our commercial areas in Daniel. We have traders associations, and the Heidelberg West Business Park has an association, but it's not treated in the same way. What is your hope for achieving that?
Well, as I mentioned, we're hoping to make the Business Park Association self-sustainable into the future. And the method which we're looking to do to achieve that is looking to put perhaps some sort of special levy on ratepayers in the area. Now, we understand the challenges associated with doing that because people don't necessarily want to dip into their pocket unless they see they're getting some tangible benefits and value from what the association is delivering. And there's a bunch of questions about whether we make it compulsory, whether we make it just applicable either on a voluntary basis or to people who are members of the association. To be a member of the association, it's actually free, so any business in the area or any person working in the area can sign up to be a member of the association, participate in the benefits. So that's probably our biggest challenge in the near term, understanding that we don't always want to be reaching out to council for funding because you've got a lot of competing priorities, and we don't necessarily want to be a drain on the community.
Thanks. And your outgoing costs in relation to other centres, because you do have a centre manager, and a lot of our centres have centre managers, and that's a cost to the Heidelberg West Business Association. And currently, without council funding, you're just funding those outgoing costs with contributions, voluntary membership to the association?
Largely, and Belinda, who is the person we engage on a certain number of hours per month, and you know her reasonably well. She's pretty exceptional at what she does. She's a real go-getter, and she's pretty good at soliciting donations and contributions. So whenever we're running an event or whenever we're participating in some sort of initiative, she's good at reaching out to businesses in the precinct to get them to sort of dip in, and that's largely how we provide the output in those forums through the voluntary contributions.
Okay, lovely. Thanks very much, Ken.
Okay, thank you for having us.
Okay. Duncan Palmer, I think you're here.
Good evening, Mayor and Councillors, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Please excuse my lack of dress. I've come straight from a sports meeting, so I didn't have time to go home and get changed, but thank you. I'm President of Rosanna Little Athletics Club. I'm a Griffin Ward resident and voter. Rosanna Little Athletics Club is part of the Darwin Valley Little Athletics Centre. Between Darwin Valley Little Athletics Centre and Darwin Valley Athletics Club, our clubs support over 650 athletes per year, along with more than 120 volunteers that help keep Willinda Park functioning. I first arrived at Willinda 10 years ago with my daughter, who was enthusiastic but very slow. What I found was a community of parents, officials and coaches, all pitching in so kids could feel supported, no matter their ability. 10 years later, she's still slow. But last weekend, she proudly came home with 2 silver medals at the State Track and Field Championships. That joy was shaped by this community. That same community will celebrate its 60th year this coming season, so the 26-27 season, but faces a real possibility of having to celebrate it elsewhere. The facilities at Willinda Park have reached a critical point. 2 lanes have been closed since December. That's 25% of capacity. At least 2 more lanes are projected to fail over winter. They're wearing down and shifting. 1 triple jump pit is out of action. We have 0 compliant throws cages. Each week we have to install makeshift netting just to approximate maximum or minimum safety. In comparison, Coburg and Whittlesea have modern full-surface tracks meeting Athletics Victoria standards. Knox has 4 compliant throwing cages. This is not about wanting elite facilities. This is about safety and athlete involvement. Willinda hosts more than 20,000 athlete visits per season across club meets, training and school carnivals. That doesn't include the many, many members of the community we see down there running every morning, every evening and using the facility. Schools in Banyule generate over 3,500 students for inter-school athletics each year. Several now travel to Whittlesea because the service and facilities at Willinda Park are not up to spec anymore. My son's school, right in the middle of Griffin Ward, still attends Willinda, but there were concerns raised after their meet last Friday about the condition of the track. We currently have multiple junior athletes tracking towards Brisbane 2032. This weekend alone, Diamond Valley athlete Jamie Ritchie won her 13th and 14th state titles. She's also set 3 state records this season, beating a former Olympian to set those state records. If she continues progressing, as we believe she will, she should be known as a Diamond Valley athlete, not being forced to train at Whittlesea, Keilor or Doncaster purely to be able to compete in her running events. Willinda Park seriously risks becoming a well-lit, and thank you so much for the new lighting that's coming, but a well-lit but unusable dirt patch, not fit for clubs, not safe for schools or local community, and not viable for 60 years of athletics it's once anchored. What we're asking, what I'm asking, what Rosanna's asking, is that we respectfully ask Council to prioritise immediate short-term repairs so we can have our 60th year at the track in 26-27, and a commitment to a full track reconstruction, delivering a surface that should have a 10 to 15 year lifespan, or possibly up to the 20 to 30, depending on how we manage fencing and items like that.
Thanks very much, Duncan. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker? Okay, thanks very much for making it, Duncan. Much appreciated. Adam Chong.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the chance to speak in front of you today. My name is Adam, President of Viewbank Tennis Club. I'm here tonight to raise an issue that is no longer inconvenient. It is unsafe, it's escalating, and it's directly threatening a valued community asset. Several of our courts are now significantly damaged due to tree roots pushing up under the surface. What started as small bumps now have become major surface distortion. Players are tripping, balls are taking unpredictable bounces, and the risk of injuries getting higher and higher every week. Viewbank Tennis Club has been part of Banyule community for over 50 years, and we are one of the most significant high-impact sporting clubs in the municipality. With over 400 active members and around 1,500 community users every year, our courts are being used every single day. We host juniors, seniors, families, major tournaments that bring people to Banyu and strengthening our community sport. Given our scale, reach and contribution, we believe it's reasonable and necessary for our facility to be prioritised in council planning and budget this year. We are now at a point where we cannot guarantee safe, reliable courts for our own members, let alone continue hosting major events. If this issue is not addressed soon, the court will become unplayable. Recently, we have obtained professional courts to understand the scale of the problem. To fully resurface the 5 tree-damaged carpet courts out of the 6 carpet courts, the cost is around $295,000. And further, to convert the 2 undercard courts to carpet, this is an upgrade that would improve durability and reduce the long-term maintenance. The cost is another $167,000. These are not small numbers, and as a volunteer-run community club, we simply cannot afford this. We are asking Council to partner with us to help fund the remediation, to prioritise inspection, and to work with us on a long-term plan that protects both the courts and the surrounding trees.
Thanks very much, Adam. Does any councillor have a question of the Speaker at this point? No? Okay, thanks very much, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, Sarah Gittins.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. This is the second time I've spoken to you on behalf of the Willinda Park Management Committee through the budget feedback process. I was here last year to bring your attention to the condition of the Willinda Park athletics track and the need for funding to renew it. Over the past 12 months, the condition of the surface has continued to deteriorate. Areas of the front straight are now unstable, sections have had to be closed, and each week we find another part of the track that's heading the same way. Ongoing repairs are becoming harder to justify as a long-term solution, and we don't want to reach the point where the track simply becomes unusable. Willinda Park is not a lightly used facility. It supports the activities of the Diamond Valley Athletic Club, Diamond Valley Little Athletic Centre, and it provides a training space for local running and triathlon groups, hosts schools athletics carnivals, and is used by members of the community from the very early hours of the morning until well into the evening every day of the year. For nearly 60 years, the Diamond Valley Little Athletic Centre has provided a safe, affordable and inclusive place for children and families in Banyule and the surrounding communities to participate in sport. In October next year, the centre will enter its 60th season. However, the ongoing condition of the track is beginning to affect how the facility can be used. Lane closures reduce capacity, schools are understandably cautious about bookings when surfaces are uneven, and the committee is increasingly being asked whether the venue will be suitable into the future. The written submission and the photographic evidence provided to the Council outline the current condition of the track and the practical impacts that this is having on the operation of the facility. What we're asking is really straightforward. We ask that the Council recognise the urgency of the issue and support the inclusion of funding to renew Willinda Park Athletics Track within the Capital Works program. This is an important community facility and a council asset. Addressing the renewal now will prevent escalating repair costs and ensure the venue can continue to serve the community safely and effectively for many years to come. Willinda Park has supported athletics and provided a free, fit-for-purpose place for any member of the community to exercise for generations. With the right investment now, it can continue to do so for the next generation. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Sarah. Does any councillor wish to ask a question of our speaker? No. Thank you very much, Sarah. Okay, we have no further speakers this evening, and this concludes tonight's hearing of submissions for the Community Forum. Thank you all very, very much for contributing and attending. The next steps, which was outlined by the CEO earlier, following the hearing tonight, officers will assess all feedback and provide recommendations to Council. Formal consideration of community feedback to the integrated planning documents and officer recommendations will occur at the Council meeting scheduled for the 25th of May 2026. The final version of all integrated planning documents is scheduled for consideration for adoption at the Council meeting of 22nd of June 2026. For the ordinary Council meeting scheduled for the 25th of May, there will be no further request to speak opportunities on the officer report on whether feedback will be included in the integrated planning documents or more generally to be considered as part of the development of these documents in any other capacity. The formal hearing process is this Community Feedback Forum, so there's no further opportunity to speak to feedback beyond this process. So thank you all so much for contributing to this evening, for either attending or providing a submission, for your time, your effort, your thought in preparing the feedback. Thank you for connecting with us and our officers and each other as well, and thank you for contributing to our community. It's been great to hear from all of you this evening. So wish you all a good night. I'm formally closing the meeting tonight at 9:25 p.m. and ask you to get home safely. Thank you.